That work better? Perfect. I'm personal like hot spot right now. Okay. Yeah, so I was saying I'm very open to where we go with this and how we structure it. I'm happy to introduce myself, just sort of like a normal intro, or maybe you want to ask me specific questions, or I can intro any questions that way. Okay. So first of all, thank you for letting me like lurk in. It's really magical, and I'm so happy you invited me in to speak with as well. I'm considering this as just sort of like a synergy. I think if you guys read the article, so we all know we're some solidarity in our program. I go to Northwestern University. That's this one behind me. I have been remote for almost 2 years. I have 9 months left, and I'm currently in internship. My first month of 9, with 6 clients. Yes, and all of my classes are remote. As is my internship as well. My internship is in Florida, and it's called Life Adventures Counseling, and we specialize in experiential adventure, which kind of runs the gamut. That can mean anything from we're processing emotions as they come up, and that in itself is an adventure in the moment present, all the way to folks who take people out camping or paddleboarding for a couple of days. So it really spans. Yeah, very, very cool. Like we'll use pretty like a hodgepodge of different techniques and theories, from psychodynamics to feminist, CBT, but also really stemming from nature-based. Nature as a spiritual center, or nature as a learning tool, and the moment as like the thing that we can really count on. That's my interest. I'm from Florida, but I am currently near my Ellington. I finally decided to come up here. I gave a lecture last semester on the psychology of COVID. So maybe what's been going on for everyone while we're still stressed, but from an attachment perspective. So my idea, at least I shared, was maybe how we used to interact or attach to our parents might reflect how we're attaching or not to the government. That was like 18 months in, where there's a lot of flip-flopping mandates, there's lots of staff confusion. That's sort of one thing I'm doing. In school, I also run the psychedelics and counseling group with a colleague of mine. So it's very decentralized community that discusses up and coming work or passions. And my pronouns are they, them, and she, her. A big art background as well. And yeah, I think that's a good place to start. I would love to hear more about y'all's program, or even a little bit more about ETC specifically. I know who I'm speaking to, and we can talk. Because I mean, we can make this lecture, but I don't have much of a lecture to talk about. Really, the article is like, this is my experience. I want to experience the process with you. So I'm happy to hear people's names, pronouns, if you're interning, what you're doing there, maybe a little bit more about the supervision group itself. I think like a fun fact. Amber, do you want to start?
Well, I can kick us off here. Thank you for that intro and for joining us today. So I use she, her pronouns, and I have 1 week left of internship. This is like my last full week on site. So I intern at a part-time in a psychiatric hospital and also in the emergency department with crisis mental health. And then on campus, I work with students who are having issues with substance use at varying levels on the spectrum. So yeah, it's been a great time working with everything and kind of just looking to wrap up here in this last week.
Last week?
Yeah, last week. It feels so surreal.
And what a variety of experience.
What'd you say?
What a variety of experience.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. Gotten lots of different mental health perspectives. So yeah, I will popcorn it over to Caroline.
Alrighty. Hey, Allison. It's nice to meet you. I'm Caroline, and thank you for being here today. So yeah, I am also in internship, and I am at Daymark Recovery Services, which is a community mental health agency where we work primarily with substance use and working towards recovery. So that's also been really great experience in being able to work with all different types of age groups, personality disorders, different things like that. So it's been, yeah, very good experience, lots of learning, lots of eye-opening to just mental health in general. And yeah, so I'm from North Carolina, and I think a lot of us here can relate to the fact that our whole first year was all on Zoom as well because of COVID. So it's definitely interesting to have that aspect of counseling as well. So
Have had both experience.
say that again.
Had experiences both in person and remote.
Yes.
Okay. Are your all internships in person?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I still see a couple on Zoom, but then I also still see some in the office as well. So I think it just depends on the agency and the office protocols and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I've inquired quite a bit with different internship sites just to sample, like, where is the kind of industry now? And it just seems like a lot of people are still sticking to remote.
Right.
Because maybe that's what clients need, but also it seems to have its advantages. So
Right.
that's really great that you have the dual.
Yeah, it's been, I think as hard as it was for everyone during COVID and to all be online, it was definitely a good learning experience as well, since telehealth is becoming more popular.
Yeah.
So.
That was stuff you're still learning, but that was actually one reason why I did choose the remote program. I felt like, well, it seems like everything's going remote this year, 2020. Who's to say when it will change? And maybe this might be something for real to stay. So yeah, totally. I'm on the same page with that.
Yeah. Alrighty, and I will popcorn to Jody.
Hello, I'm Jody. I use they, them pronouns, and I apologize if you see my cat's tail.
Don't apologize.
At the bottom of the screen. She will make an appearance at some point. So yeah, I am also in the CMHC program, but I'm also in the dual master's program. So my other degree is in music therapy. So I'm also a board certified music therapist, and completing my counseling degree and getting my license. So yeah, I have about 2.5 weeks of internship left as well. So all in the end game now.
Wow.
Yes, so
music
close.
therapy too. Are you trying to go for a specific music therapy license?
So the music therapy license is just kind of generalized, but I am thinking of pursuing a additional training in Bonnie's method of guided imagery, just because the professor here at App State is one of the big powers to be of that field, and she's been trying to get me into it, and she has succeeded. So that is in the future plans, but
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do. I'm certified in yoga. I thought of it too for
Very nice.
people with autism and caregivers. That was incredible because it's counseling almost, but it's still yoga, and so changing your language and the way you show up in the room to meet the people who are there. Really, yeah, that changed everything for me in yoga.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. I might have to get in touch and learn more about
Totally.
that at some other time.
Totally. Same with music, yeah. Lovely.
Yeah. I'm doing my internship in the university's counseling center. So we do see a variety of clients, mostly with students dealing with anxiety, depression, and sometimes we occasionally get a couple more severe cases. Like recently we had an influx of personality disorder cases. Not sure what's happening this summer, but something's not right. Yeah, so it really depends. It's just a variety and always keeps us on our toes. So,
And this is the counseling center at your school.
yes.
That would be an interesting, like you're seeing people sort of on similar footing and a similar like community and population, I guess, the population you're part of.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, since we're on that, I'll just popcorn to Maddie. So,
Hi, I'm Madeline. I have COVID right now, so my voice is
Oh,
all
no.
wonky, but I am at the same site as Jody at the Campus Counseling Center, also graduating in a couple weeks. Yeah, so like Jody was saying, it's mostly, I mean, it's all like college students, a lot of anxiety and depression, but I've really enjoyed working with the population, and I'm hoping to kind of continue the work with like young adults just because it's nice to have someone on the same wavelength. But the piece about working with people in your community, it's definitely interesting because I go out, so I see my clients out quite a bit, and it's a lot of conversations about confidentiality and what that looks like. And yeah, so it's been interesting. But when I start working in October, I'm going to be switching to fully remote with a practice down in Charlotte. So hopefully I won't have that problem anymore.
Yeah, we had a few discussions on like what it's like to deliver service in a small town. I didn't realize like, I think a campus would kind of qualify.
Yeah, and like Boone is a fairly small town too. Like everybody knows everybody, like especially with it being summer, like you see everyone everywhere. So it's very tight knit.
Kind of unavoidable. Interesting.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and popcorn to Miller.
Hey, I'm Miller. I use he, they pronouns. I'm at Wellness and Prevention, where Amber's at, working with substance use and undergrad students. I've been there since practicum and I'm finishing in the next couple weeks there. My second site this summer has been at a group foster home about an hour away for youth under and up to age 18. So, yeah. That's
Do you see
me.
yourself specializing with youth?
I prefer college students. Yeah, college students, like young adults would be my kind of field. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm keeping myself open for now.
I guess that
Thank
leaves me left, so
Yeah.
I'll just introduce myself. My name is Tracy Irvine, and I'm the university supervisor for the internship program. It is a new venture for me. This is the summer program is the first time that I've done this, so I've been learning along with everybody here on the screen. They've been very gracious. In my full-time job, I serve as the director of RHA, which is a community mental health program in a rural area here. And so we do mental health, substance abuse, and a lot of community-based services, as well as facility-based crisis and detox. And so I oversee those services, but am also a licensed clinical mental health counselor supervisor. So I do provide some direct service in the way of assessments and triages. And then I provide licensure supervision for multiple staff who are on site working toward their license. And then it looks like, Rebecca, you joined us just in time. We were just doing kind of quick introductions about who we are and where your site is, those sorts of things. And then Allison is going to continue offering us some insight.
So I don't know how great of an area I'm in right now. I think they're doing some kind of graduation thing in the lobby. I was in my office in Watauga, and my internet wasn't working, and then I got a new phone, whole string of things, but it wasn't working out. So I'm here now. I work in Daymark is where my internship is, so community mental health. That's probably all I can share right now with the background noise.
Well, background of how this came to be, this moment, while I wrote the article, like personal moment came out, published. Feedback was Amber. Very, very lovely email. Really touched. We got to talk a little bit. I was like, you know what? You guys read this? You guys talked about it? Have something to feel about it, say about it, and you're almost done with your time and training. Wow, what a cool moment to be where you're at. A little bit behind you. But I would love to take this conversation where you all want, whether that means focusing on, processing your time and training to specific things that stood out for you in the article and what's made an impression, why, to specific questions for me. Yeah, I just want to be of service, so I'm happy to let you all take the floor and start speaking.
And let me also say, if you are in the effort to provide a safe environment, if you all want for me to pop off and then someone text me when you all are done, I am more than glad to do that so that you guys can have a more candid conversation. Not that any of your opinions will alter anything at this point, but if for some reason you guys feel more safe doing that, I am perfectly okay with that. You can just let me know when you're finished.
And again, if you want me to take it off the board, literally at any time, just send a message to me in the chat or we can go through that. No problem at all.
I wanted to pop in real quick and say, like, Allison, sometimes when you start speaking, like, it doesn't catch up. And so if we're just kind of staring blankly, there's quite a few gaps where we're not quite able to make out what you're saying.
Okay, that's helpful for me to know.
Okay. I didn't want you to think we were just staring at you, like not responding.
Let me switch.
So, yeah, it still lags a bit. What'd you say? It's kind of completely mute now.
How about now?
Okay, yes, can hear you, no lag.
It's better? Can you hear all of my words?
Yes, much better.
Okay, I guess the computer hates my AirPods because that's a game.
That happens to mine too when I try to connect.
Right, you would think expensive things would make things better, but it doesn't. Okay. Well,
all right, well, I can kick us off with a question. Okay. I had a question for you. So, like, it seems like you're pretty early on in your internship experience, and I just thought it was so interesting that you were able to really access just such depth of experience with being like so early on. So I'm really curious about kind of where you were when you were writing this piece.
Where was I? I was in the thick of my practicum. I was getting an onslaught of new clients all in the same few weeks, which is exciting and great, but also a lot. Personally, I was transforming in ways I didn't quite understand. It felt like things emotionally for me as a counselor, as a human, as a human going through this kind of program. I felt like things were moving, but I couldn't really articulate what. And it was so powerful, but so like primal, like beyond words or below words. Like nothing was really articulated yet. You know, in supervision, a lovely supervision team that was run by Dr. Saunders Waldron, and we would talk about how things would be difficult or things we might realize along the way. And there's a lot of support. At the same time, it's hard to get support for things you can't really verbalize. So that's where I was at for those few months of, I just finished a group immersion, so leading groups for the first time, you know, hours a day. That was new. New types of clients that I've never encountered before, like everything, like it's like baby's first steps every day, every moment really. And it was great, but that's also so big. And there's a particular moment then that I mentioned in the introduction of the article of, you know, a loved one calling me and wanting me to like field some support for them. And I was like, I can't. After such a long day, right, of new clients, new everything, changing myself. Like you go on class even, you hear like a little nugget and you're like, that changes everything for me. Now go into a client call, oh, now my loved one's calling. I'm like, I gotta breathe. And I can't explain to you why. This is just kind of a limit I'm at today. And that happened enough in different versions and different scenarios, different people, just feeling like I'm at my limit because this is such a profound experience. But I don't know what limit this is. And I went to go Google, like, all right, somebody like articulate this for me. Like, what is happening? I'm kind of lost in the sauce, and it's delicious sauce, but like, what? How do I even like begin to describe this to other people not in the program? Because, you know, my cohort people, they'd all be like, yeah, I'm in the thick of it too. I'm stressed. But you try and speak to other people who aren't in that scenario, and it's just different. So I Googled, there was nothing. There's nothing on what it's like to be a counselor in training, which to me, not only did I feel extra lost and unsupported, but that got me angry and angry enough, and with the courage and the gusto enough and the fortitude of my frustrations enough, I was like, here's my experience, dang it. And so I flushed out a draft, sent it to a few different places, and Counseling Today picked it up, and then I flushed it out more. That was the impetus. Generally feeling understood by certain populations, like my student fellows, but grossly misunderstood by people who I love who weren't going to the program. Coupled with, wow, this information should be out there. And I wish I had it beforehand, so yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Allison. So I feel like I really resonate with your experience as well of like when you're first jumping in, not knowing like what your limits are, but knowing you're at your limit, and it's really confusing. And one quote that when I had read the article stood out to me a lot, so I wrote it down. It was, you will long for an hour of laughing with people who do their own inner work and won't tell you anything they need or are working on emotionally. I felt that so hard. Like whenever people come to me now and they're like, basically like be my therapist, I'm like, hold up. I am at my limit before you even start. So I really resonated with what you just said and with your experience.
Yeah, totally. And I've gotten similar feedback too, of people just being like, I've been at my limit, and exactly as you put it, that was beautiful. Like I'm at my limit, but I don't even know what the limit is. And like I'm at the limit before anybody even approaches me. And I don't know how to like get unlimited. Like this is just continual waves of limit. So I definitely resonate with what you're saying.
Do you feel like it's eased up for you at all? I feel like over time it's definitely eased up since when I first started, although I still experience it to some extent. But I'm wondering what your experience has been.
That's so interesting. I have been reflecting on that since writing it. what was the timeline? I think I wrote it, I had a few weeks off following the publication. So had classes off. I took 2 weeks off from clients, which they were fine with. I was like, thank you so much. And that's when people started writing back about the article. So I had some space to just finally, after going with practicum, plus that outpouring of the words and the feelings, to just like some quiet moment. And really it was through hearing people's feedback, just like you all are telling me now, that something really clicked and shifted for me. In particular, I didn't know what was happening at the time, but I can look back now because I started practicum with more clients this time. And I'm in a different spot. Yeah, much more expansive. But I think it's an expanse that is because I understand the synergy more, I think, in the room. It's less about me. Honestly, I'm gonna say fixing. I thought I was over that and didn't have that notion idea. Well, yeah, we don't fix people. We don't try and help people. We help people, but we let them do the work. I thought I had that idea in my head. But the more I just saw how people responded to me writing and how that made them feel, and it was literally the similar process I was going through. I wasn't telling people how to fix anything. I was sharing exactly where I was at and being vulnerable and accepting where I was. Something clicked in there. I was like, all I have to do is be in a moment with people. I'm letting go of this idea that maybe we contain the session, but we don't control it. And that was such a relief. That was such a relief. I didn't even know I was holding on to that. I thought that was done. And showing up differently for my clients, I see the change in them too already. So it's almost like my work has become easier and that I'm just not trying to do it. I'm just there. So yes, that's when my limits shifted in a sense where I can hold and support more because I'm doing less. It took hitting all of those limits and meeting all of that trouble and like icky resistance and like thinking I was doing something intuitive in a really counterintuitive way to be like, okay, I'm just gonna surrender this. And then once I surrendered, yeah, it became easier.
Yeah, it's like they always tell you, like the most important part is the therapeutic relationship, but it takes a while to actually understand that. But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I think, we just like match their language. We just ask them really good questions, which we do. Like, we take an interest, in a way that maybe they've never felt before. We do that, but yes, it's totally more.
I resonated really strongly when you talked about that anger that you felt. And this was just last night too, because I was in my kitchen about to make this stew, and then like suddenly this anger just rose up in me and was like, how dare they expect me to give my 100% for clients when I'm not paid, and then I have to do all this class nonsense, and then I have to take care of my personal life, and then I have to be 100% for my clients. Like I remember holding that ladle and was like, this is not fair, and then was like really angry for some reason or another. So I really resonated and really appreciate your genuineness when you were like, you were feeling it and I was there with you.
Yeah, we love anger. But I found too, like, as much as we promote loving all emotions and integrating all emotions and sharing them all, there's still this, I guess, expectation for therapists to kind of contain and to be maybe even beyond emotion, which, I mean, looking back, I don't think that's really what my classes or anyone was ever trying to tell me ever about being a therapist. But I think I held on to that. Like, that's part of the identity is being selfless, and selfless to the point where like our emotions maybe aren't relevant in the room, don't maybe are even harmful, and we should just, be taking this moment to kind of sacrifice in a way. And yeah, I felt totally resentful. And it wasn't because of my clients necessarily. It was just systems and structures, and yeah, just being really hard and feeling like I wasn't maybe receiving in the same way I was given. Yeah. So that anger didn't have a place to go for a while.
Yeah, and I definitely recognize that often. I think most of us do feel the same way too. It's like at the beginning, especially at the beginning of their training, we feel like, oh, we always need to be at a space like the empty glass so we can take in our clients' burdens. We got to be like this perfect being, and that's like such a war. I feel like the more we are in training or into our careers, we get a little bit more jaded, and it's like, yeah, obviously that's not going to happen, and we look back and we kind of like chuckle like, huh, I really think like that at the beginning.
Yeah, I can't say for sure yet, but in this chapter I'm in right now where things are in flow, it's almost in me showing up. Like I had a client the other day, she's like, I hope after doing therapy with you, I start becoming normal. And I was like, if you're thinking that going to therapy with me is going to make you normal, you're with the wrong therapist, because I'm just going to make you demonstrate and show and love your crazy even more, because that's how I'm going to show up. I might tell you, I don't know, and I don't have any answers, or I'm showing up in this way today. The more I was able to be authentic in a way that's helpful, but show my emotion and not try and be this empty vessel. Oddly, I feel deep down, though, that I have become almost more connected to a source beyond all of the waves of emotion. And this is where I start getting like kind of spiritual, but when we teach our clients to ride all of the waves of emotion, it's one thing to say that and to be on that journey with them, and it's another to be sort of in the middle of that journey too and feel the waves, but in a way where you're not taken by them. And it was oddly through being in all of this current with all of the clients all of the time and all of my essays and everything, it got to a point, maybe there was just so much emotion that I learned just that we just roll with it. I don't know. But at some point, it just was like, I accept everything. Whoa. I truly accept everything. Every feeling right now. Because I don't have an option. If I try and not accept it in this moment with this client, we can't go anywhere. If I try and not move through this resistance in writing this essay right now, I'm gonna have a tough time. Yeah, it was basically just breaking down all those blocks and loving the anger first. Yeah.
It sounded like a powerful reflection for you.
Yeah, it is. And such a gift that I got through doing this training. Yeah.
And I'm gonna switch gears a little bit if
Totally.
you guys are okay with that. I'm just curious what got you into counseling and what kind of sparked your interest to have this as your career, because you seem very passionate about it. So I'm curious how you found this.
Yeah. Well, before I went into the program, I was very resistant. I mean, I was in therapy myself for like, I don't know, a while, long time. And it was extremely powerful for me. One of the first places in like in a troubled time, like a lot of people, I felt seen and heard in a way I hadn't felt elsewhere. And slowly but surely over a long time, it transformed me. And I just felt like I can't come out of those years. It would it would be sinful not to even share like how this helped me. That being said, I didn't feel like I could do it. I didn't feel like I was ready. I felt resentful even of like, you know, now that I'm finally in a good place of some peace and some positivity, I don't want to be anywhere near other people's problems. So why would I go back into it? I was very much like, I want to feel good. And if I'm going to be around people, that's going to, you know, mess that all up for me, which is not true, but that's what I thought. And so I resisted for 3 more years. I was still in a lot of specifically art career things. Some were, you know, working out and rewarding, some were not. And just kind of in a space of, I'm sitting on all this gift and I should probably do something. And the way I'm thinking I can share myself isn't really the right platform maybe. And then COVID hit and I was laid off from my position at an after school center that specialized in dance, drum and dance, African drum and dance. And I was unemployed for a little bit. Family was very much like, now's the chance. Now's probably a good time to do that, huh?
Mhm.
Like, you're not wrong, actually. But even still, I was like, I don't know if I want to do it. I don't know if I'll get in. I still applied. And honestly, the first 9 months where there's no internship, it's just classes, so hard. I didn't know if I even wanted to be in it, which was probably the hardest part about it. And it was just essays on talk about your trauma, talk about where this thing you are feeling comes from. And it was like, I'm back in like an intensive inpatient, but as a clinician somehow, like, what is this? I don't really think I like this. And they just keep saying, wait until internship, that's gonna change everything. It's like, well, that better change everything because I can't quit that. And yeah, you know, the first few months even then were just difficult onboarding, getting used to that. But yeah, something broke the dam after seeing the first few clients.
Yeah.
And feeling that synergy. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's not about me. And the ideas I had about therapy and how it would make me miserable aren't true. Actually, very rewarding. So it took me a while to get to the space of gratitude, really.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think something that you just said that stuck out to me is just the fact that being in this program and the work that we do, we have to be raw and vulnerable with ourselves as well as and with other people in our cohort in order for us to grow as professionals in this field.
Yeah. Being really vulnerable was actually the total key to this. Yeah. Like vulnerable and then some. You think you're being vulnerable, but what else is that?
Throughout our first year of being on Zoom, I felt like it was pretty hard to be vulnerable through a screen with other people and with professors. And I felt a huge shift when we all started going to classes together in person, and even just being able to see each other in the building where we all are. So how was that experience for you with being completely online? Because I feel like I would have a really hard time if the second year of our program was also only virtual.
Yeah, it's sometimes it felt really surreal. Like I log on, I talk to so many people a day, and yet I am utterly alone in my room. What's up with that? That is a weird feeling. I was getting so deep with people, like in this like box, right? Like their innermost like heart space. But like I've never even, I don't know what the lower half of their body even looks like. Like what, huh? It was definitely strange. I think and isolated. I think what helped me throughout that was a deep sense of spirituality I came into the program with. I had been sitting in ceremonies, Indigenous ceremonies for several years before, where I was just integrating lessons of understanding that, if you want to call it spirit or God or like universal love, is really everywhere all of the time. So we can tune in to the divine at any point, no matter where we are. We're never alone, ever, even if it might feel like it in this room. Truthfully, everything is all energy, and I'm sitting here alone, but I'm completely with you. I'm sitting here in this room alone, but I'm so with my ancestors right now. And this land. That was a connection that I, with the help of a huge community and spirit and my ancestors, connected and forged with before getting remote. And I think it would have been different had I not had that. Things did shift for me too once I started visiting campus for like talks, or even just being up here. My program itself is all on the computer, my clients are all on the computer, but I do then go walk on my campus and go to a library. So yes, that did help me feel more rooted. Yeah, but just that universal sense of connection really carried me.
That's like really deep, because I hear you going like so much bigger than yourself, but also so much more within yourself at the same time.
Yeah. Like tearing up. Yeah, totally. That's exactly. And that's how I feel that the work is too. Like the way that I'm approaching life and this conversation. It's the exact same way I approach a client. Especially. And I love that about this work, is that it's just, in a way, on that level, all the same. Just all honest, all present. Is it your gift? I don't know about you all, but I'm like really feeling the potency of this moment right now. And you all are in such a beautiful spot, just almost done. Wow. I mean, what is that like? Please tell me where you are. How is this experience for you? I don't mind if we go over, by the way. How is this experience for you? And right in the specific, space where you're almost done, you're not quite, but you've done all of this. All this journey, you're right here. Like what is that like for all of
I kind of feel like I'm at a point where it has been so messy for so long. And I feel like it is finally starting to like come together with things. And I'm like, okay, like I finally get it and feel like I can go out into the world and do this thing. Which is like unsettling, because I know that I'll get out there and then I'll have like a whole different batch of clients with different problems, and I'll be like, crap, I don't know what I'm doing again. But in this moment, it feels good to finally be pretty close to, moving on.
the nectar? Yeah, the ease that you're speaking to. I love that for you. Wow, what a journey. Do other people feel the ease, or do you feel something different?
I do not feel the ease. I feel the opposite of ease. I think with everything coming together at once, it's both exciting but also very stressful to make sure that everything's crossed off. Is everything turned in? Is everything deleted that needs to be deleted? And preparing for the next part of all of our lives. It's so strange to think that we're done, but we basically are done. So I have muscle spasms in my back. Amber, that's why I couldn't walk earlier. Found out. Yeah, but like at the same time, it's okay. So I don't know. Yeah, like I'm glad that we're here.
Yeah. Yeah. So where some of us are feeling ease and like, yes, it makes sense now. We're also feeling like, well, now we have to cross the boats. And that's like very, very nitty gritty, very like fine inspection. Maybe not so useful. But yeah, you said like for the rest of your lives. Wow. So this is really truly like a bookend. Wow.
I guess I consider it more of a chapter end than a book end.
Okay.
Yeah,
The
I
same
think
book. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, for me, I think it's very bittersweet because it is, you know, a chapter in the book that's ending with new beginnings, and with things ending, like Miller said, having to make sure that everything is turned in and meeting deadlines. So for me, that can bring some stress and feeling overwhelmed, and also some sort of excitement for preparing for what's next. But also with preparing for what's next requires more paperwork and learning new things. So yeah, it's bittersweet. Even just moving out of my apartment, that's also bittersweet because I love living here, but you know, I won't be living here, you know, after I graduate. So I think the work and being done with school is bittersweet, but also there's other aspects that are involved as well. So
Much like any very significant ending, all of the feels, all of the feelings. Yeah. There's expansion, but with expansion comes fear, excitement, things to do.
Yeah, I think bittersweet is definitely a good word for it, because I really like enjoyed the program, and like I think I can speak for myself, but I think a lot of us have made like some of our best friends in this program. So it'll be a little sad with everyone kind of moving away and like everyone going their different directions. Also, I do really like school. As hard as grad school has been, I think I will miss being in school. But at the same time, really excited to not be anymore. And I to get to dive in and do a little bit more of what I want to do. And also just get to focus on one thing, like just working. That's it. Nothing else. That's going to be really good.
Yeah, that simplicity. Or, you know, it's simple, but it's also, then you can just dive in that much more. Yeah.
Yeah, I resonate a lot with that, Mads. Like, I'm so excited to just have one job, one thing that I get to focus on. I'm really excited for just an overall heightened sense of wellness. Like, while we've been in the program, like, life is very hard. It is very hard to focus on holistic wellness. But I've been like actively making plans for like what this next kind of volume of my life is going to look like with being a new professional. And I'm super excited for it.
Honestly, I'm just excited to get paid. It sucks to not be paid right now, and I'm really over that. Like,
yes,
extremely over that at this moment.
Yes, because it is an energy exchange, you know, capitalism or not. I mean, I feel so full emotionally, yes, but also some AC unit would be great. Yeah, totally. And I also love how you all are speaking to the connections you've made. Yeah, that is so cool. I don't know for you, but I've had the same group in supervision the whole time. So we've really seen each other grow and know a lot about each other.
That's really cool. Our supervision classes change each semester. So like we've only been together since the beginning of the summer. We have different arrangements, which is like it's cool because like we get to interact with more of our cohort, but also we don't necessarily get to see the linear growth with everyone.
Yes. Yes. That is the one place where I see the same people consistently and along with my clients. Other than that, yeah, classes every semester. We see similar faces sometimes, but yeah, by and large, it's a lot of different folks. So it's been nice to have the balance. Oh, there's a whole ton of people here. Oh, and now there's my like, little cozy home on Fridays.
Well, I do want to be super mindful of your time, and I know it's 6:26, so we have like about 4 to 5 minutes left. Were there any like final questions from the group or comments from the article?
I can't think of any like final questions or anything, but thank you so much for your time, Allison. We really appreciated you being here and get to kind of talk about this experience with someone who's experiencing kind of the same thing, but on a little bit of a different like track. So yeah, it was cool to hear the differences and the similarities.
I love that. Yeah, and for me too. Seeing how you all and where you are in my future maybe, and then like where we are similarly and how time all collapses. Yeah, just being able to share this moment with you. And you know, the piece, yeah, it was sure my words, but it came out so, the first draft at least was so effortless. It felt like truly I was writing with people. I was writing with my cohort and supervision who we talked to about this. I was writing, you know, for all of the therapists and with all the therapists in training right now. So it truly felt, even though it was coming out of my fingers, it felt like some kind of collective channeling. And it's really beautiful then to come on the other side into spaces with you and share that again. I'm so happy for you all in your next chapter. I want to hear what you guys end up doing. If you have any more questions for me, I guess Amber maybe will send out my email.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. I'll send it out with the recording.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be great. I'm also on social, which I guess once I get y'all's emails, I can just send it out. Love to connect with everybody. And if afterwards too, if you feel like, hey, you know what I shared was really personal, I don't want this on YouTube or something, also just email me. You don't even have to explain. Just like, please don't. Like, okay. That being said, if no one says that and you're like, I want to see this on YouTube, I can link you and tag you and whatever. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your supervision.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Allison.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Bye.
Bye.